What is going on YouTube? My name is Edgar and this is
Eric.
And we are here today at Trinity Pro Scooters in Sacramento, California, giving you guys a review of the hottest deck out currently, and that is the Aztek Jake Sorenson signature deck. You can't say it's a Lucid, it's its own deal. Even down from the head tube is slightly different. The dimensions of this guy is 6.66 by 23 and 24. Kind of to give a little background on Jake Sorensen himself. Jake started riding scooters in 2010. He's from Livermore. And I first met homie probably like 2012, 2013. And even since then, dude was an animal, killed it 24/7, gas pedal all the way through. And, you know, he's he should be the model that you guys should follow. You work hard and you'll get signature products from multiple brands. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to know more of background on what the graphic is, I would strongly say go on to Hella Grip's YouTube. They have a actual video series with Jake Sorensen where he talks about the graphic, something that Jake Sorensen does in every signature part. So he did it with his wheels and he did it with the deck. It is adding the windmills from the Altamont, which is in Livermore. It's very famous, or it's a very famous area there where you drive through the freeway and it's just rolling hills with these windmills. So he put that in his Sig deck. And there's multiple other things that are little, I guess, like treasures of Livermore, if you want to say it that way, or things that he likes about the city that he's from. But yeah, what do you think about the dimensions of this deck?
Oh, they're just beautiful. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. With the width, it's the most stable deck I've ever ridden. I've never felt more comfortable and more confident in trying front 50s or even like back 50 or front 50 combos.
Definitely.
Though it's a 23, it feels like a 22.
For sure.
It whips around like it was meant for park. Like, it's just, this deck is incredibly balanced. The head tube angle is just fantastic.
Yeah, and honestly, even to touch on the head tube angle, I really at first wasn't too big of a fan of more what felt like straightforward, because I was used to it going a little back. So not only is this deck balanced all around, but the concave on it is very well in how it fits this deck. If you've been riding scooters for a few years, you know a lot of these companies basically are trying to sell you a 2x4. There's no concave, it's completely flat. You feel the transfer of energy from the wheel directly to the body, because naturally, unlike skateboards that have something to compress, it's all metal. So the vibration is always going up through the scooter into your body. Concave, in my eyes, not only helps with foot placement, but even when you land, it gives you a little more room to let that foot really hug on to the deck, so it doesn't feel as bad. And I've honestly noticed the difference. Have you noticed the difference even with the concave?
Oh yeah, definitely. Throwing and catching whips is just prime. But at the end of the day, it really does come down to preference, because Ben, he likes a flat deck. He does not like concave. The only deck that he gives an exception for concave is the TSI Satellite.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's interesting because with that being said, and I don't know if you guys catch the gist of all of our videos, everything is preference based. So don't allow another man to tell you what's the best scooter part, because there's no such thing. Just because I think this is the best deck doesn't necessarily mean Eric does or whoever.
I do know.
Yeah. Oh, you and I are on the same page here.
I love this deck.
But as you see here, we actually got one. This one's mine. I ride scooters, right? This is my personal deck. And Eric has had his too, and we've had ours since they first came in, which was probably like a month ago now, right?
They came in February 1st, so it's March 11th now. So we've
Yeah.
had them for a little over a month, and I'm just in love with this deck completely.
Yeah. Honestly, I can confidently say I did not get fully used to the difference of, because I was riding a Tilt Theory 3, another fantastic deck. I love the Tilt deck. I love the TSI Satellite deck. There are so many good decks out there, but the deck I was riding prior to this guy was 6 inches by 22. So not only did I have to go up in size width-wise, it was an inch longer lengthwise, and in scootering an inch is big, right? But you could barely feel the difference from how light it is. I also run my scooter with titanium bars, so it just feels like the lightest thing you could flick around, and that's essentially it. But with that being said, let's talk about cons. What are cons that you have? Because our list of pros is forever, but what about the cons?
Number one con is the deck ends. I don't like that. Like, they fall and they get stuck in the deck. That's always a pain in the ass.
Most definitely.
Ways to combat that, I feel like, have you seen on the north deck how it's kind of like lipped on the top and the bottom to keep it from falling in? If they were to apply something like that to the back end, just something to keep it from falling in there, because it gets in there and then it gets to where it's like thicker, and it just gets stuck, and then you're sitting there like you're like banging your deck like this, and it's
trying to get it out.
It's ridiculous.
Something which at the end of the day, right? These are minuscule things. These aren't game enders, right? For me, I felt like anything, like if I missed. Because with this deck, I mean, I don't even run pegs now, which I used to run pegs, and I throw 50s all day. And just in general, it's prone to denting, especially if it's on something that you aren't confident with. This is my front side. It's prone to denting. But that's like such a small thing, but just from the aspect of stating a con. Also the brake, I hate the assembly in a enclosed deck. It sucks because it's really hard to finagle. But other than that, I mean,
I would say even with this deck, just because the back end is much wider, it's a lot more open than other decks. I didn't have that big of a problem with it. I just used an Allen key to make sure that the threads in here were straight and lined up with the holes, but
I even combated that by loosening up the brake and just pushing it back.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's
But this is just for the sake of being a person who's nitpicking nothing, right?
I mean, that's the purpose of the video, is to give you all the information we can about this deck.
Exactly.
And it's from an unbiased standpoint, so we gave you our pros, but we got to give you our cons too, you know.
Exactly.
There are cons to this deck. There's cons to every deck, as you know.
As with anything, not even decks, any scooter part has cons. Anything in life, there's a pro and con to. Another con, I guess, if you even want to consider this a con, the physical size of the deck. There are a lot of people that want to get it, and then they step on it, and then they're like, no, this is way too large. And that's perfectly fine. This is not for everybody. I mean, if you look at the dimensions it comes in, 6.66 by 22 or by 23 and 24. I mean, these are all longer sizes. This is for a very specific group of people, but that's the beauty of a signature deck. You don't have to cater to the masses. You get what you want, and that's exactly what he did. Just like with Logan Fuller prior to Jake, that was the first line of that like 6.66 big deck vibe, right? That all started with Logan's deck, and now it's down to Jake, and who knows who is next. I mean, the Aztek team is stacked with people that throw crazy bangers, so there's no telling who is the next Sig deck. But yeah,
every time I see someone hopping on a bigger deck, I wonder when the next, like, you know, big deck is gonna drop. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I see more and more people riding like over 6, and I'm like, okay, there's a 6.2 and a 6.5 coming out. Like, are we gonna see a 7? Are we gonna see over 7? Like, what's? Because
I feel like that's kind of like.
But that's what I said when the
it.
siren came out, dude. I said the exact same thing. I was like, dude,
True.
6 is hella big. Like,
True.
I don't know if we'll ever get bigger than this. And Sean looked me dead in the face and was like, dude, I think it'll go to 7. And I was like, nah, I'll never ride that big. And here I am riding one of these. And
I mean, practically 7 inches, and you hit the nail on the head there with even different sizes past 6 inches. You know, I've been riding scooters since like 2011, so it's been a long time. The standard has changed quite a bit. When I first started riding scooters, I was riding like 20 wide, or no, sorry, 18 wide, 22 tall on a 4.5 inch wide deck that was 19.5 long. That was the standard. And 110 mil wheels were the F&B's knees, right? And now look, you're at a 6.6 by 23 long with 30 wide wheels that are 120 rather than 100 or 110. It's always moving. And that brings me down to the very last thing about this deck. Compatible with 30. Not compatible with 12 standard. Straightforward. But with that being said, there is a way to finagle to make that 12 standard fit.
And that's what I did.
Yeah. Now, because he's literally riding 12 standards, I'm riding the TSI wheel, which if you guys seen the video prior, the core of this wheel is 24 millimeters. That means that this fits your regular spacers. You just have to make sure your deck is compatible with 30 wide. The big thing with 12 standard, the biggest difference between this 30 wide by 120 and the 12 standard by 120 is the fact that the diameter of the bearing is bigger, right? So you'll have to run a different spacer and the diameter of the wheel. So that's why you have the 30 wide wheels, but since it's 12 standard, you have a naturally bigger axle. But if you add spacers, how this guy does, you can run your regular axle on 12 standards. So now technically, this deck is compatible with every wheel on the market. But I feel like that ends it, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, other than what we've covered, this deck really speaks for itself. I mean, that gloss black on top with the blood red on the bottom, it's just
absolutely
it's gorgeous.
And me being a Naruto nerd, I see the crow and automatically go towards Itachi. So I thought that that was dope. I highly doubt that that was a nudge towards that. I don't think he watches anime, but I thought that it was hard. Lastly, though, make sure when you buy this deck from Trinity, you buy that new Hella Grip, baby. This stuff works. Look, there is no edge showing. They have a wider deck sheet now. What is it, 9 inches?
9 inches by
30 long, or by 33. This is your standard skateboard grip.
You can grip a skateboard with this grip tape. It can be done.
Exactly.
110% clean cut too. No cutting and resizing. Just one sheet, slap it on.
And now you're supporting not only another company that Jake Sorensen is sponsored by, but homies that are also from Northern California. So you're keeping it in the family, friend. Keep it in the family.
Yes, sir.
But with that being said, this wraps up this video. You can absolutely buy this deck online at trinityproscooters.com. You could come in and see us physically, touch it tangibly, and if you wanted to pick it up, unfortunately we only got 2 left, and the stock, I don't think there's anything left.
This one's not for sale.
True.
This bad boy we got signed
by Jake Sorensen
himself. Jake Sorensen himself, yeah.
Which is awesome. We're actually going to put that up on a mural side of our shop. But yeah, we only got 1 left, so if you want it, come get it. TrinityProScooters.com. Follow us on social media at Trinity Pro Scooters. Follow my guy Eric Hoffman at
Eric_Hoffman.
And Edgar at Edgar_Guboglo. Stop sleeping. Follow people that mess with scootering for real. You guys have a great night.